Hi darlings, thank you so much for joining me on my channel today. Today I have a Bible journaling process for you in my art journal. I am journaling day 10 of the ByTheWell4God devotional. This is their June devotional. And before I jump in real quick, I do want to just give you a quick reminder. Yesterday I just posted the Identified kit from ByTheWell4God. That is going to be our July devotional. But I want to just encourage you to finish off strong with this one. Sometimes when we get a new devotional or when we see new releases, we get kind of discouraged or we seem to rush the Bible journaling process or study process, which is the most important part so we can catch up to the community. But if you are feeling discouraged or maybe you're feeling behind, there is no such thing. God has beautiful teachings here and you don't want to miss that because you're rushing into the next kit. So I know I needed that encouragement this morning, so I wanted to encourage you guys. So here in my art journal, I am going to be using 2 Distress Oxide, kind of like an ombre effect with this stencil. I know I used this stencil last month, but I am all about not hoarding my things. If I can use it, especially when it coordinates with the kit, I'll use it again and again. And I love this stencil, so I'll be using this again in my background. I pulled out a journaling card that I did some journaling on, circled the verse that I'm focusing on. This is one of the other, this was one of the fabric clip. And this verse also coordinates, is also in day 10. So I'm going to put this in there as well. Some items that I thought would match well. And that is it. So let's get to it. Let's dig in. Okay, darling, so I'm going to start off with my background here. I'm using Distress Oxide color Pine Needles first with my round contour brush. And I'm using, again, this stencil. I love this stencil. It's just so good, especially with this kit. These stencils usually are continuous, so you just line them up back to back, and it'll have a continuous background, and I love using that for this reason. So what I'm doing here is I'm doing this on 4 different spots. I'm not really focusing too much on the middle part because I know that's going to be covered up, but I love how this looks pretty much seamless. Then I'm going to go in with the peeled paint, and I am just getting that color, and I'm kind of just brushing a little bit, just tapping it a little bit in the ink, and then brushing that color into the background so the background is not stark white. So love how that turned out. And now I'm just setting up all of my pieces to see how I want them to look. And I grab the labels because I want to use this. And what I'm going to do is cut it out first, and then I'll add it to my page to see if I like the placement of it. Now I'll grab my outliner, Big Idea outliner number stamp. I've loved using this one, and I'm going to stamp that out with my VersaFine Black Onyx ink onto some pattern paper, using up all the pattern paper that I can. And I am also going to stamp this really close together because I wanted it to be one piece versus doing a 1 and a 10 and then gluing them side by side. Now I will cut that out, and after I fussy cut this out, you'll see me grab my healing mat and also my cutter tool, and this is going to be so I can cut out the middle of the 10 and then the part that kind of connects to 1 and the 0. So just doing that there. After cutting those out, I'm going to go ahead and move to placement on my page again. And so now I can kind of see how all the elements will look. And I decided that I wanted to back my journaling card onto the same paper that I used for the number 10. This is bringing some more of that darker teal blue into the page, but also I wanted it to be a little bit sturdier because I was going to make it into a pocket. So I can put my verse from Psalm 86, 6 and 7. I'm going to put that back there, and it's going to be a little pocket where I can pull that in and out. So because of that, I wanted to make it just a little bit sturdier. I'm also going to go ahead and fussy cut out the 3 die cuts that I chose for this page. I'm not going to make you watch me do it, but I'm just cutting out a lot of that white space. That way it can just be a little bit more seamless. I would love the die cuts to look more like they're part of the background versus popping off. The more white you have, the more that it kind of pops off the page, but the less white space you have around the die cuts, the more that it blends into the page, if that makes sense. Just a tip if you wanted to know the difference of why we do that or not. Okay, back to my label. I'm going to use the same green, the peeled paint that I used on my brush to take off some of the stark whiteness off of my label. And then I'm going to add that to the bottom here. That is going to be a placeholder for my date stamp. And I'm also going to cut off some of this. I had some fabric from ByTheWell4God that was in my stash. This was one of the fabrics that came with the tag bob. And I'm going to use that to basically staple that onto that verse card. And that is going to slide in and out of that pocket that I formed. Now that I know where everything is, I'm going to go ahead and add some of this liquid glue onto here. And this is I'm just keeping everything in the same place. That way I can make sure that when I glue down that big card on top, I'm still seeing part of the elements that I want seen. Liquid glue is one of my favorite adhesives to use. It's super permanent, but it also gives me a little bit of wiggle room right before it glues. It takes about 30 seconds to glue down, so it gives me some wiggle room, which I love, just in case I need to move things up or around so I don't cover too much. Okay, so there it is all glued down. So now I'm going to glue down the number 10, and then I'll grab my date stamp and I'll add my date to the label there. But first, I want to take care of my title. So I grab But God. I love that they added the title to the actual main kit stamp, because this makes it easy just to add the title to all of my pages. I add But God up there in the black VersaFine ink, and then I'll grab some of the clear stickers. Even though these are clear and you can see through them, when you outline them, I feel like it pops beautifully off the page because it kind of blends in, but the black adds that that bold touch to it. So I'm going to add the word listen. And this is something else that happened. So I ran out of S's here, but what I'm going to do is I'm going to dig into my stash and pull out another S, and it's not the exact same color, but it still works. So definitely use up your stash when you can. Lastly, you'll see me go in with one of my pens, and I'm just going to outline the word listens again so it pops off a little bit off of my page, and that wraps it up. That is it, darlings. That is how it turned out. I am loving this so much. And I might go back in with a darker pen, or maybe a thicker pen, and outline listens just a little bit more so I can pop out a little bit more. But I love the turnout. So if you are new here, I hope you consider subscribing. Hit the like button and notification bell so you don't miss any of my videos. Thank you so much for joining me each and every video, darlings. God bless. Bye.